Wars have a way of throwing up dodgy outfits, and this is surely one of them, a political party's private militia. For Croatia's President Tudjman, this militia, known as HOS, is bad news. It's the armed wing of the HSP, the Party of Rights, an ultra-nationalist grouping openly critical of the president and of his hesitant conduct of the war. The HSP insists that it's democratic, yet simultaneously it pays homage to the notorious Ustaše, who ran Hitler's puppet state of Croatia during World War II. This is a land of ghosts indeed.
Our principles are to fight democratically. We never had an intent to have a military wing as such. We don't even have a military wing in our party platform.
This place is full of people who are armed to the teeth.
Yes. That is an anomaly for me as well. We've just had to self-organize.
As we spoke, a crowd gathered, mainly of students, assembling illegally outside the HSP's Zagreb headquarters. Milan Vukovic broke off for a word to the faithful. They were demanding the release of the HSP's leader, Dobroslav Paraga, recently arrested on President Tudjman's orders, accused of armed rebellion and arms dealing, and unceremoniously thrown into prison.
Za oslobođenje gospodina Dobroslava Parage, predsjednika Hrvatske stranke prava. A sada ja bih htio vam predstaviti gospodina Gorana Trdina, predsjednik od Pravaške mladeži.
However unprepossessing the HSP's bully boys in Zagreb, its militia has a life all of its own down on the battlefront, where it fights with vim. It is notably well supplied and well armed, thanks, one suspects, largely to Mr. Vukovic's emigre connections. At a time when President Tudjman was dithering over whether or not physically to resist the forays of Serbian irregulars backed up by the army, HOS was dishing out guns and uniforms to those ready and willing to defend Croatia.
Right now, you cannot ask the Tudjman regime, why, Mr. Tudjman, did we suffer all of these defeats? Why were we not even able to hold one village, let alone one town or one city? I mean, the man just goes crazy when you ask him. Well, you cannot be in a position of power and not accept responsibility.
HOS men in the field will sometimes put themselves under Croatian National Guard command. As likely as not, they'll simply do their own thing. This unequalled conflict with the army, though, is polarizing Croatian opinion. As it drags on, more people clutch at the nostrums of the hardliners, angered at President Tudjman's apparent inability to stop the rot.
President, he's so shit, he's so big.
Pa razumije se da nastavljanje rata daje.
It's natural that the continuous fighting encourages the right-wing extremists. But I think that in the world and with propaganda, too much attention has been focused on them. If we have to go on fighting, then it'll be me who will, along with the Croatian government, coordinate the war against the aggressor to achieve the liberation of every last inch of Croatian territory.
Late in the day and from a standing start, the Croats are trying to tack together forces to resist the Federal Army. This particular scouting unit was training to fire mortars. The Croats have no air force, and whilst they're managing with light arms, they lack the heavier stuff, anti-tank weapons, for instance. The local commander, like others we met, had deserted the Federal Army to fight for Croatia.
My unit is well equipped. Maybe there are some that are not well armed. It depends what their role is. But our unit needs only small arms, and we've got enough of them.
One soldier, now a military policeman, told us that he'd joined HOS because President Tudjman seemed to be asleep. But, like many other HOS men, he had no time for the party or its ideology.
Što se tiče HOS-a,
Listen, about HOS. You don't have to be a member of the HSP, because when people first went to fight to free our country, HOS was the only group that offered us uniforms and weapons. I don't have to agree with politics. I am not a member of it.
Plainly, the party of right and its powerful militia are a political hot potato. It is also interesting that HOS members in the field insist that they joined the militia of this extreme right-wing group because it fights, and fights well, and is well supplied with arms. They do not share its extreme ideology or political views. Not yet, anyway. Osijek is at bay. Much of the time, its people shun the streets. For months now, the Federal Army and Serbian irregulars have popped in, shot and shell with lazy abandon, blithely ignoring every negotiated ceasefire, killing 5 to 10 people a day. Osijek is the capital of eastern Croatia, centre of a region the Serbs now covet. At the town hall, they strive, even in small ways, to keep the show on the road. A bright young mayor is at the hub of Osijek's resistance.
We have to buy time. That's why I'm trying to internationalize the problem. But I think we can hold on for 2 or 3 weeks.
What do you think is the army out there at the moment, firing at this town, trying to achieve?
It's trying to terrorize people, to get them to flee the city and cause fear. Fear.
For much of the time, Osijek lives underground. A shopping mall under its main square has proved a boon, with some people bunking down there semi-permanently. The mayor says a third of Osijek's 110,000 population is still in town, some of them perhaps reluctantly. Men aged 18 to 60 have been forbidden to leave. It's a form of mobilization. President Tudjman appears to have been gambling on outside intervention to save the day for Croatia. But as the Federal Army, brutal and bullying, chips away at Osijek, lobbing shells randomly at its inhabitants, this sit-tight-and-wait policy has left him with few true supporters. While the military pressure is on, however, the common sense of Croats, by and large, inclines them to rally round Mr. Tudjman, sticking to him for the time being as the best president they've got. A new Croatian song rouses spirits for what could still be a long march, as President Tudjman himself indicated. Serbia still calls the tune, for until there's a proper ceasefire, there can be no outside intervention. But as our local commander reminded the troops, Croatia still dreams of European aid and recognition. And what will certainly bring a smile to faces, if, as promised, it comes before Christmas, will be German recognition. A big morale booster for beleaguered Croats, not to mention for their beleaguered president.